The room was filled with the echo of boots striking polished floors and the low murmur of officers preparing for a briefing. The air smelled faintly of jet fuel and coffee, the scent of long days and longer missions. Around the briefing table sat men and women in uniform, decorated with medals that told stories of years in the field. But when she walked in, the noise changed. Conversations faded, eyes turned, some curious, some skeptical, others cold. Lieutenant Commander Ava Reynolds walked with her head high, uniform crisp, expression calm, though her hands trembled slightly behind the folder she carried. She could feel it, the unspoken judgment in the air, the subtle stares, the quiet whispers. She doesn't belong here. It wasn't the first time she'd heard it, and it wouldn't be the last. To them, she was too young, too soft-spoken, too different. She wasn't part of their old guard, and her transfer from intelligence to naval operations was considered a mistake by many. The Admiral hadn't arrived yet, but the murmurs continued. A few officers chuckled quietly as she set her folder on the table. The mission briefing hadn't even started, and already she was being dismissed without a word. They didn't know what that folder contained. They didn't know that every page inside it carried scars, not ink. It carried the story of why she had been chosen, of what she had survived, and of the people she had carried out of hell when no one else could. 3 years earlier, in the middle of a covert operation in the Arabian Sea, Ava had been stationed on an intelligence vessel that was hit during a surprise attack. The crew was trapped below deck, the fire spreading fast, communication cut off. Panic filled the corridors as smoke turned every breath into agony. Ava had no command, no authority, just instinct. She forced her way down through the lower decks where flames licked the walls and the heat seared her face. With her bare hands, she pulled open hatch doors jammed shut by the blast. She carried wounded crew members out one by one, her lungs burning, her vision blurring. She refused to leave anyone behind even as explosions shook the steel beneath her. When the rescue choppers finally arrived, she was barely conscious, her face covered in soot, her uniform burned, her voice gone. But 34 men and women lived that night because she didn't stop. She was the last person lifted off the ship before it sank beneath the waves. Her bravery wasn't written in reports or broadcast in headlines. It was quietly filed away under classified, hidden like a secret, known only to a few who had witnessed it. Now, years later, she stood in that briefing room, feeling like an outsider once again. The Admiral entered, a tall, stern man whose silence carried authority. He walked past her without acknowledgement and took his seat at the head of the table. One of the senior officers leaned in and muttered something under his breath. Glancing toward Ava, the Admiral caught it and his eyes shifted, cold, precise. He reached for the folder she had placed before him, flipping it open. At first, his face was neutral, but as he turned each page, something changed. His hand stopped moving. His expression softened, then hardened again, not in disdain but in realization. His eyes scanned the reports, the commendations, the incident records. He saw the names of the lives she had saved. He saw the handwritten note from a captain who had written, "This woman gave me my life back." He saw the classified mark, and beneath it, the words, "Commendation for Valor, awarded in silence." The room was silent now. Everyone could see the Admiral's reaction, but no one understood it. Then slowly he stood. He looked across the table at Ava, his face unreadable, and then he raised his hand in a sharp salute. The room froze. No one moved. No one breathed. "She doesn't belong here?" he said quietly, his voice firm and heavy with meaning. "You're right. She doesn't, because she's already been somewhere most of you never will be, the line between life and death." Ava didn't speak. She didn't have to. For the first time, she felt seen. Not for her uniform, not for her gender, not for her rank, but for what she had done. The officers who had laughed earlier lowered their eyes in shame. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was reverent. After the briefing, when the room emptied, Ava stayed back for a moment, her eyes resting on the folder that held pieces of her past. She took a deep breath, then closed it gently. Her reflection on the polished table looked back at her, tired, scarred, but unbroken. She smiled faintly. She didn't need applause. She didn't need headlines. She only needed to keep doing what she'd always done, show up, stand tall, and serve. Because belonging wasn't something given by others. It was something earned by courage, sacrifice, and quiet strength. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Legends of History, because every act of courage deserves to be remembered. And before you go, drop a comment below. Tell us what true belonging means to you.